Welcome to the baiting up video. This one I've been requested a few times from a few different people, how I bait up live and dead baits. I haven't got any pillies or anything with me, but the way I do dead baits and yakkers and everything else is pretty much the same way I do pilchards. And I'm just going to show you a few different ways we can bait up these things. I know a lot of people will know some of this, not all of it, some of it. Anyway, without too much yakking on, let's get into it. As you can see, I've just made up a handful of different rigs here, so we just make up a few different baits as we go. Okay, so the first one is when I'm live baiting, so blocks, chasing jewfish or cobia. I run two different rigs. I either have the sinker straight on the hook, like so, or I'll have a swivel up here and the sinker up here and have this like a running sinker rig. But the hook setup's always the same. I'm always running snelled hooks, okay, like so. Now if I'm putting a live bait on this rig or the running sinker rig, same hook setup, well, I'll show you how to do that, how I do it anyway. We've got a bigger yakka there, and it might be about the same size. Okay, I've got my good old bag of trusty old yakkas, they smell great. Anyway, they're all about the same size. So first of all, with the top hook, is the first one, that's usually one of the Shannons. You know I use a uni knife for the bottom one. So the top one goes through the nose. There's a few different ways you can do this. Some guys go through the actual nose, it's a little hole in front of his eyes. Right, you can go through the nose like so. It's through sideways. You can do that way if you like. That's not bad, but if your hooks haven't got big barbs, these little buggers can shake and actually come off. So I don't usually live bait that way very often. What I generally do is I just, when they're alive, of course, in the mouth, just down a couple of, a few mils. It's nice and slimy while he's dead. So just in the mouth, and just bring it up through the mouth. You can see there, not right up the back near his eyes. You don't want to brain spike him and kill him. Just up past the lips, so the lips are nice and soft, and he gets the bony bit in his head, in the middle. So in the mouth, and up through the top there. And generally he can't come off, and he won't drown, okay? He can swim. And with the back hook, you can see this one's a bit long for the bait, but it's not, well, you get the idea. What I do is, you always want slack line between the two hooks so your bait fish can swim. So you generally measure it out, your hook's you want the hook to sit about yay. So what I do with my back hook is I just lightly go under the skin, just very, very lightly pierce them and pull the hook out like so. The leader's a bit long, but that's all right. You get the drift. So through the mouth, up through the nose. And the back hook, I usually just lightly pierce under the skin and come out the side. So the hook's sticking out well and truly. Okay, you're not going to miss a strike with that hook, like so. When I do this, I'm a bit more careful. I go up higher so you don't touch the backbone, and only half that distance, just slightly pierced under there, but you get the idea. So the hook sits like so. He's going to kick like mad. That hook's not going to go anywhere. Okay. So that's how I do one live bait. Another thing is too, if you are going to pierce them through the nose, not through the mouth, like so, that one's coming out this side. With the top one, if you're going to go through the nose, make sure it comes out the other side. So you've got one hook one way, the other hook the other way, okay? I just find that a really good hookup rate when I'm doing that. So there's the first one, that's for live baits, when I'm using live baits. And while I'm here doing this bait thing and mackerel season's around the corner, good old trusty mackerel rig. I think I've done this before a long time ago, but just a quick refresher. Basically the same as what you saw the first time. The only difference is, don't worry about the treble. I've been watching a lot of Americans, and they use this rig. They don't put the treble in. So I'm going to try that this year. So basically the same. With this little hook, you go through his nose, pierce him through the nose, a lot of guys do. Or once again, just in the mouth, and up through the hard bit of the bone. Just pierce him on there like so. And that's it. If he's a live bait, you're going to trawl him, and the treble is actually going to trail behind at his tail there while you're swimming. Don't put it in the flesh. I'm going to leave it out this year. So that's it. He's only held on by the one hook. And like I said, while you're trolling, that'll be trailing up here as well. So that's in the strike zone. So that should work quite well. the second one. Okay. Now, and once again, same hook again, snelled hooks. But this one is if I'm float lining live baits. It's going to be exactly the same as the first one. Pretty much the same. But I am going to show you something though. Okay. So if you're float lining live baits with snapper or cobia or whatever, if this, you see the small sinker and you want to stand there and float line a live outlet into free swim, great way for cobes and big reds, even marlin and stuff, in close. Okay. Same as the first one, generally I'll rig up that way. But what I'm going to do with this one is to show you, I see a lot of people doing and miss strikes. I wonder why. With your octopus hooks, they are offset. You see they're kinked out. Okay, they're offset. Some guys don't think, when they put them in, they miss strikes and they don't know why. Okay, so you can see this one's kinked off. It's kinked off to the right. So if I put it back through the tail here, just pierce it under the skin, which a lot of guys do, like so. You can see that? That all looks good and well there. But this offset, the kink, is actually going back down to the flesh. So when this fish is down, swimming around and kicking around, and a lot of time that point will go back into the flesh like so. You can see it's back into the fish. A dewy cobia or whatever grabs that, that's going to miss. There's no sharp edge, nothing to grab onto there. The point's back in the flesh. A lot of guys don't think about that and they miss strikes and wonder why. If you're going to put it through the flesh like that, look at the offset, which way it's going, and go the opposite way. So we'll go back through. This time we'll go the opposite way. Look at the difference. The hook sets, the point's coming bending up, not back into the flesh, it's pointing up away from the fish. So now there's actually a point there to grab onto. Better hook up rate. Just keep in mind your kink, your offset, which way it's, when you put in a bait fish, is it digging back in or is it pointing away? That's just a good one to remember. So if I'm a snapper fish and I do that, or once again my way, just under the skin, and we'll just pierce him under the nose there again. We'll just go that way, keep it nice and simple. So there's another bait. He'll swim quite nicely. That one's going to be sitting like so. Okay. I'm hoping all this sort of makes sense to you guys. Okay. Now we're getting down to the float lining snapper ones. This is the one a lot of guys really do ask for. He's a bit squashed, but he'll still work. When I'm float lining with dead baits, here's the dead baits. Like dead yakkers, dead slimies. I actually like to cut the tails off. I don't butterfly them, like you cut up either side, rip the backbone out. That looks good, but it brings all the peckers in the world and they peck away your two flaps. There's nothing left apart from the head. And I don't worry about that. If I'm chasing big reds, like 8 kilo plus snapper, I'll generally cut the tail off. I'll go at a slight angle like so, and that's it. There's my snapper bait. If I'm going to float line for a big red with yakkers or slimies. And here's my good old snapper rig. You can see, once again, snelled hooks, small sinker, beads, limo tube. And guys want to know how I rig this up. This one I do rig up, okay. Very similar to the rest of them. So what I'm going to do, I know the first hook's going to sit like so, okay? Second hook under the flesh there, so first of all, I'm going to put the second hook just under the flesh. Once again, sticking out the side like so. Now the first hook, I'm just going to run up under the jaw, out between the eyes, like so, like so. I left that one a little bit tight, but you get the drift. So basically, there's my snapper rig. First one, okay, straight through the jaw, from the bottom up through between the eyes, between that bone, so it doesn't come off. Second one, pierced under the skin, pointing out. Okay guys, with the limo tube running down the side like so. There's a snapper bait. It's very good. That works a treat when you're chasing big fish. Don't get a lot of bites and runs with that bait, but when you do, it's generally a big red. Okay, and 2 more little things to do before I finish this off. Okay, last one. If you're fishing single hooks and bait, there's a couple of different ways we can go here. First of all, if you want to use a big bait, you can stitch them on. So we start at the back, pull it through. Let's just stitch him on. Do like 3. You can see 1, 2, 3. Now bound the same size. Once again, just pierce under the skin, bring the hook out like so. Pull up your stitching. Okay, hopefully you can see that. I'm pulling up the stitching like so. Now with this, I'm just going to make a loop, twist around once. Okay, that's a 1/2 inch. Put it over the tail, pull tight. There's another big bait that float down for a snapper. How's that? That's something. This is old school. A lot of guys don't do this nowadays. I still do it. It still works quite well on big fish. So how's that one? Okay, and instead of cutting up another bait and making another rig, this one too, if that bait's a bit big for you and you don't like that one, do what I done with the last one, the yaki here. Cut in, but not there, cut it like in half up here, cut it like up here, cut it in half on an angle so the gut cavity opens up. Okay, cut it in half. Don't worry about the head half. With the tail bit, same deal, hook, just pierce under the skin here, 1 or 2 hitches there, 1 or 2 wraps through. I can't even think what that is now. 1 or 2, and then a 1/2 inch, and just use the tail half of this bait. Rig up the same way, but just a hook up here. Cut the head off if you don't want to use a big bait, and let all the juices flow out that way. Also a good snapper bait. All sorts of bait. It really needs that when you float that down. Okay, what else we got? Oh, there is something else I wanted to talk to you guys about as well. Hang on, I'll just unwrap this one. That's gonna be too hard. Bear with me for a second. There's the lid on the hook. I worry about the leader, guys. I'll just use a hook. Just something I want to show you as well. Out in the fads, this is a good one for out in the fads. People are live baiting all the time, but they're hooking up their live baits generally this way. And dolphin fish can be really picky and fussy at times. So when you fish in the fads with live baits, this is something else to try. It's a little harder to wind in, but it works an absolute treat for strikes. Okay, you got your livey, you got your hook, you got your leader, so it's going to be unweighted. You're going to flick him out of the fad looking for dolphin fish. Instead of rigging up this sort of way, do this, guys. Remember the offset, so we're going to go through this way. So just pierce him lightly, pierce him under the tail. Okay, so you can see the hooks offset, it's out away from the fish. Drop him at the back of the boat like so. Open up your bail arm, let him free swim. This fish is automatically just going to take off and dive down deep, not across the surface or dragged by the nose and the current where you want it to go. Just open your bail arm. This fish is going to be free swimming. He's going to look natural, and his instincts is go down deep, and generally that's where we find the bigger ones when they start diving deep. So just drop him in the back of the boat. He's going to take off like so. Bail arm open, no restrictions. That's a really good way to find dolphin fish at the fads, and it looks a lot more natural in the water than this pulling him around by the nose. Just try this. The only downside is if he doesn't get eaten, then you pull him back. If you want to keep him alive, you've got to grind really slowly. His poor old tail's going to bend, he's going to come through the water like that, with a bit of drag. But that's the downside. But if the dolphin fish are down, some good ones, this is an awesome way to get big ones. He'll just swim down naturally. Okay? And I gotta tell you, this doesn't smell too good. Anyway, I hope you pick something up from that. There's something here you can try from mackerel fish and dolphin fish, just live bait, dead bait, float lining. Different ways you can bait up. Give them a crack, guys. They work really well. And if you enjoyed that one, I'll see you next week sometime. Thanks, guys. See you next week.